And welcome into the Friday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Robbie Stanley, Nick Keyser, Joe Rexrode will be along here in just a few minutes, live at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Over the $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. And it's a sad day here on the Robby and Rexrode program. It is the final day for our beloved Nick Keyser on the program today. He escapes the chains of having to deal with me and Rexrode on a daily basis after this day. Nicholas, we've made it to the end here. It's a sad day.
Yeah, well, we'll get through this. It'll be fun. We got some donuts to fuel us this morning.
We did.
So I brought some. Ian brought some. The idea for me to even bring them came from the intern. So thanks, Max.
Wow.
But we're going to have a good little morning here. Rexrode's a little behind. Hashtag Brennan, I guess. I don't know.
Guess we'll see.
But yeah, Joe will be with us here shortly.
He will. But we will take your well wishes, your warm thoughts for Nick Keyser throughout the show on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. We were all blessed with a nicked off yesterday, a Nick Keyser rant. So if you missed that, go back and check it out wherever you get your podcast.
I hope that PK enjoyed it if he did listen. He said he was going to. I never heard from him. If I didn't hear from him, I guess I did all right.
I would say that is the general rule. If you did not hear from him, there's nothing for him to complain about.
Or he was maybe still mourning over Finn. I did read that story too.
Yes.
That was kind of sad. But hope that the Kuharski family is doing well right now.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot to get to on the program today. We got a jam-packed show. We got Jared Stillman for his weekly visit coming up at 7 o'clock. We'll get into all things Titans with him, and I may have to get after him about his – well, I don't really know what's the Masters so different than any other golf tournament. I may have to get after that take coming up at 7 o'clock too. Clark Lee, Vanderbilt football coach, will be with us at 7:30. The spring game coming up tomorrow. It is that beautiful time of year. Spring football is in the air. And before you know it, the college football season will be upon us again. So Clark Lee will be with us at 7:30. And then, of course, TD for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock. Couple weeks out from the NFL draft. Another edition of Weekend Winners coming up at 8:30. So we got a jam-packed show to get into today. We'll take your thoughts in the meantime. 615-737-1025. The well wishes already rolling in for Keyser. Chip from Mount Juliet saying awesome work, Nick. Great job. Good luck in the future. We'll continue to take your well wishes on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So an interesting day yesterday. We're going to get into some draft talk with the Titans a little bit later in the show. But I want to start on this. So a report from On3 Sports yesterday about Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Volunteers and some potential negotiations that are going on there for the way they phrased it was a new contract. So as we have talked about many times here on the show, Nico Iamaleava is one of those guys that's on that new age of playing quarterback in the NIL era, and he was kind of that first wave of that. And there's all this reports out there that he's the $8 million quarterback, right? So making $2 million per year to play quarterback at the University of Tennessee. Last year, he becomes the starter. He leads Tennessee to the college football playoff, and I would say his numbers last year were good. He had a good year, especially given his age at the quarterback position. He did not, however, have a great year. And I think when you think about his profile and what the expectations are for him, not only from a production standpoint at Tennessee, but also for his NFL future and the idea of him potentially becoming a first-round pick one day, there's a big step and a big leap that's going to be required from him as they head into this year. And potentially beyond that, he'll be his third year this year. We'll see what that looks like if he's coming out after this year to go to the NFL or if he comes back to Tennessee or elsewhere, I guess, for another year. But now his future potentially in question in the short term with Tennessee. Pete Nako's putting it out there yesterday that they're in the middle of contract negotiations with Tennessee, Iamaleava and his camp. And, quote, it's unclear if he will use the spring transfer portal window as leverage, but that could happen at this point. So here we are. You've got spring football going on, by the way, in which he has been participating. Iamaleava has been participating in spring football. So you've got all that going on, and now this thrown out there by P. Nakos of On3 Sports yesterday that they are in the middle of contract negotiations and that could affect the spring transfer portal window. Now, my initial take on this is this. This is modern-day college football. And it looks like anytime that these kids, especially at a high-level position like quarterback, have the chance to quote-unquote renegotiate, that's probably what we're going to see as they move forward here. Do I believe that Iamaleava is just going to leave and go somewhere else? No, I don't. I think he's trying to get more money out of Tennessee, and the likelihood is he's probably going to eventually end up getting more money out of Tennessee. We'll see how this goes. But as we welcome Joe Rexrode into the program here, let's just get your initial thoughts on what was thrown out there yesterday by On3 Sports from Nico Iamaleava and what this could mean for him, his future, and the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, I think, well, there's a few things here. One is the whole the reason these things happen usually is because another school is interested, which I had heard about another school's possible interest in him, which, not surprising. I mean, that's what teams do is they poach other players. It's a pretty obvious from yesterday that the Vols and the Vols state media is upset on 3 for this.
They are.
This is that this has become like a public story. So, it's one of those things where, again, if what I heard is true about a team coming after him that now has a different quarterback, then, first of all, I guess I would have expected the money to already have been like the raise to already have been given, but I mean, maybe there's somebody else. I'm with you. I don't think that he's going to leave. He's in a good situation. He's starting next year. He knows the offense. I mean, there's a lot of reasons you wouldn't just pick up and go somewhere else and be like, I'm your quarterback now, especially at this point. I mean, you've gone through spring ball. Right. So I don't think that's realistic. This is one of those things. I think the reason Tennessee's mad is because now this just puts more, if Nico screws up next year, has a bad game, then it's even more fuel on the fire of why the heck did we give you a raise, But this is just what it is with the market. This is why, I mean, every year is free agency. Every year is a renegotiated contract possibility. It's what it is if you're good in college football. So that's why we need to get to the point where there's some kind of collective bargaining, some kind of multi-year possibility so that it's like, okay, well, you wouldn't be up again until, after your junior year or after your third year, if that's your redshirt sophomore year, whatever it is, I mean, obviously Nico's first deal coming in was a lot was made of it. But the thing is, just like with any other sports market, that doesn't look all that lucrative now.
Yeah.
I mean, when he signed initially, it was like, wow, that is a ton of money for someone to play college football. Now look around in college hoops right now. We got dudes getting $4 million to play college hoops. So, I mean, that's just what it is. And so, I mean, Tennessee needs to pay him, and obviously they're upset that it's in public, but On3 has been very aggressive with that stuff.
They have been very aggressive with that stuff. Now, as you point out, regardless of the way this turns out, barring him leaving, which again I don't expect to happen here, but I mean, I guess you could never rule it out until it's done. But what it has done is, to your point, now everything's out there, and there's more pressure on him next year to perform. I think there's pressure anyway when you play that position. There's pressure when you're a high level recruit, a 5-star recruit. There's always been pressure from all that. But now you factor in the money, the pressure ramps up even more. And I saw it immediately from Tennessee fans yesterday when this news came out of, well, why would they give him any money whatsoever? Let him walk. He's not good enough to be commanding all this other stuff. I mean, just throwing fire or gasoline on the fire after all that stuff.
How bad would next year be if you let him walk?
Well, first off, yes. I mean, who's playing quarterback for you next year if you do that? But secondly, that goes to show you, like, he better be pretty darn good next year, or there's going to be a lot of scrutiny thrown his way. Now, there's, it's that position. at that place specifically, there's scrutiny anyway. But I do think it will be amplified because of all this if he's not really, really good.
Yeah, like for fans. I mean, again, I don't. Yeah, like in terms of media scrutiny, I don't know if it's all that different, but yeah, for sure. The social. But look, at the same time, if you're Nico and you throw 3 picks and lose to Vanderbilt or something like that, I'd get off social media anyway. Like I'd get the hell off social media. In fact, I'd get the hell off social media no matter what you do, good or bad.
Maybe.
So I mean, like it may be 3 times as many people screaming at you, but like if you're open to listening to that, you're already screwed, aren't you?
Well, to a certain degree. Now, I'm with you. That's probably how I would operate. I just know that most of these kids can't do that. Like maybe he can. I don't know, but most of these kids in college cannot do that.
I
Can't
agree.
get off.
Yeah, no, you're right. But again, like, so if this never happened and he sucks in a game, there will be stuff in his social media that's so disgusting that you couldn't. So, I mean, I guess you can add to it. There's more of it, or I guess I don't think it could be worse than like before we ever got to this whole era of players getting paid or whatnot. I go back to like 2012 and find tweets from fans to players that are like, holy crap, are you kidding me? Like, how could you possibly, you're a human being, really? So, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you hear more in the stands or whatever.
Well, I think it will be media too. Like this is not the same. This is not the same in college athletics as it used to be, and it shouldn't be. Like if you're getting paid this much money, like the scrutiny should come with that in college football. Now, I don't think you need to take it to an extreme, but like they're pro athletes. Like that's what they are, especially at that position when you're getting paid this much money. So I think it's going to be different all the way around. Fans, media, all of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, they are. They're professional. They're getting paid. I mean, I still look at it like there's still a difference between college and pro just because of age, for one thing, and you're still talking about, a pretty significant difference in money. I mean, obviously, like a pro quarterback, right, versus a college quarterback, it's still like but dwarfs it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, we've had this for a few years now. I'm trying to think if I've really detected like a big change,
Well, I think we've had it for a few years, but it's becoming more and more open in terms of like everybody knows he's in a quote unquote contract dispute right now. And when you do that, you open yourself up to a section of the fan base. It's like, man, if you make one mistake, you better be good because we know the money you're getting paid next year. And I think the deeper we get into that, the more scrutiny there's going to be along the way. Like the Underwood kid in Michigan. He better be good because he's getting paid a ton of money out there. Like I think we're entering into that era where that's gonna amplify as we move forward here. Yeah. That's just my thought on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think things have changed to such extent, and that's again where it's like, when you have annual renegotiation, I'm going to leave if you don't pay me more. That's different than that's where it's like, it's more than pro sports. The money may not be more, but like this is not an annual thing,
right?
I mean, technically, you could say it's an annual thing for coaches, right? Like a hot coach could get. I mean, I covered a college basketball coach who every year there's an NBA team tried to hire him for a while, but they still have contracts and buyouts. And so it still wasn't just this, I can just leave whenever I want and you're going to pay me more. That's what has to change.
Yep, no doubt. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We're off and running on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on the Nico Iamaleava situation. What do you make of the idea of him being in negotiations with Tennessee again and the spring transfer portal window being opening next week? We'll get into that. Take more of your thoughts on our text line. Some thoughts already rolling in. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on Nico Iamaleava and the report from On3 Sports that he is, quote, negotiating a new contract with Tennessee. Craig in JC, Tennessee. I don't know where that is. Where's JC, Tennessee? Says Nico isn't going anywhere. According to VolQuest, they've agreed after last season to renegotiate. This is a negotiation. Nico's probably played up the transfer potential too much, but it seems to have worked like a charm with Vols fans. This from Craig on the text line. Joe, your thoughts on that? Is this On3 Sports maybe playing into this a little bit too much, which I did see a ton of yesterday from Vols fans of, you guys are just looking for the clicks out there.
Yeah. Well, no, I saw that a lot from other media outlets in Knoxville too. I don't know. I'm trying to find this text so I can make sure I can. My text is messed up, but that goes along with me being late to the show day. Sorry, we had to stop and I had a child with me, and we had to stop and get Nick a going away cake pop. So
very important.
And then I come here and we have all these donuts that are sitting right in front of me.
Yeah, you looked really excited about it a minute ago.
Did you see how quickly I destroyed that glazed donut?
Holy crap. You got it with like 30 seconds left before we came back from break.
Yeah, it's gone.
Annihilated.
It's absolutely gone.
That's how you do it.
Okay, so here we go. So Craig and JC, he's texted him before. We don't know where JC is.
Where's JC?
So that
Johnson City. Okay,
there we go.
Makes sense.
Okay, probably played up the transfer potential too much. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's interesting is that again, I don't know. I obviously have no idea if and how many schools are in pursuit. Trying to beat around, trying to get in there and say, hey, Nico, check us out. But I heard of one previously. So does that necessitate, is that what this is about? That it's already been kind of like, he's not going anywhere, but look, so let me make sure I have the deal correct from before. It was 8/4, right?
I believe that's how it broke down, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's peanuts for a major college quarterback, but that's on the low end now, it's just so. And now I understand people say, well, has Nico really been that great to warrant that? I hear that. I mean, I think he was pretty good last year. He wasn't like superstar that everybody hoped he would be in his first year of playing, but I think you can see the talent still. There's a market for him. People are trying to come after him. So you have to deal with that, So, but yeah, obviously, Tennessee, very much a lot of backlash about this becoming a public thing with him negotiating because of all the things that you just said, and it's how it goes sometimes. I mean, the Nico's family has been they wouldn't talk to anybody for any reason. Like, I know that I tried, like, not trying to do a story on the money you're getting, just trying to do a story. And it's like, they want nothing to do with any media at all because of this. They didn't want this to become a story. And I get that. But at the same time, like you said, I mean, if you're getting the money and it is basically a professional sports relationship, then that's how it gets treated, Like, it's not going to not get talked about.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, I don't think you can fight that.
Can't have your cake pop and eat it too.
You cannot have your cake pop and eat it too.
There you go.
Like, this is representative of where we're at in college football. And this is not just Tennessee dealing with this, but I mean, think about the offseason for Tennessee so far, right? They had Mike Matthews enter the transfer portal. Everybody at Tennessee freaked out. And he negotiated whatever he needed to negotiate. He ends up back at Tennessee. And at the moment, he's their wide receiver one. You had Boo Carter do this thing where was he going to leave? Met with Tennessee's coaching staff apparently, and I guess now he's Tennessee's version of Travis Hunter, and is going to play on both sides of the ball. So we'll see what that actually looks like by the time the season comes around. But it kind of feels like Heupel this offseason and Tennessee, their program in general, has just been in a constant state of renegotiation. And that is unfortunately where we're at in college football right now.
And, you see this more at some places than other places. And what I think it is some places just get out in front of things a little better. And I think maybe Tennessee, maybe didn't as much in terms of if you know who you got to retain, then, okay, let's talk. I mean, everybody has agents now. And again, it's exhausting, I'm sure, to be in this constant every year. Everyone is a free agent. That's if you have a good team and good players, that's a lot to deal with. But that's you get out front, and this is where it's also important, like, to have like good agents, have good relationships with agents. Like, okay, so what is it going to take? I don't want to hear about this all of a sudden. Then some school comes in. And then we're talking again. Let's nail it down. What makes you happy to come back next year? And it does seem like Tennessee had a few guys who were like, okay, well, then I'll go out here and make this a public thing then.
Yeah, like my general viewpoint on this from the terms of the players getting paid hasn't changed all that much. Like, by the time the season comes around, like, fans don't care that players are getting paid. Now, they are going to pay attention to how much they're getting paid, and that's going to be, as I talked about in the last segment, a point of discussion, particularly if things aren't going well. I do wonder this, though, because I saw this a lot from Tennessee fans yesterday, and it's not just a Tennessee fan thing. I've seen it from a lot of people that this is affected around the country. Like, are you hesitant to, like, be all in on a player if you're a fan nowadays, just because it's like, well, I mean, I love the guy, but is he going to be here next year? Like, it's a really difficult thing to do. Like, we talked about Ziegler, right, with the basketball team. Like, I think those type of guys are going to become more and more rare until there's some sort of solution to this one way or the other. Like, the guys that are at a university and are impactful players for that university at key positions for 4 years, I think that's going to be a really hard thing to find as teams move forward here, unless you are, like you said, out in front of it. You're paying them the money, and the other part of this is Tennessee's quarterback room right now. Not only now, but what it's going to look like next year. Let's say Nico's back. You got McIntyre, who's a high recruit. You got the Faison Brandon kid coming in. I mean,
they won't all be there.
It's going to be very interesting to see how all this shakes out. And, like, do the two guys behind him, like, if Nico goes out and is pretty good this year, but he's not ready to go to the NFL, does that influence how much Tennessee's willing to pay him after that, because they know they got two guys behind him? It's going to be really interesting to see how that part of it plays out.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, so look at hoops. Now, obviously, Rick Barnes lost Jonas Adu, and look, I mean, everybody knows basically in the sport that Arkansas last year paid the most money in men's hoops. They went nuts. And I guess they did end up getting the Sweet 16. So, but obviously it was disappointing for a long time. But
who do we credit for that? Tyson Chicken or Walmart?
Tyson Chicken, okay. Absolutely, yeah, that chicken money. But so Adu and then Awaka both leave, which was obviously a big hit to Rick Barnes. But those other guys, I mean, it's not like Ziegler. He's a 4-year guy and he's a small guy. He's not going to be in the NBA. They had to pay him. They had to pay him, and they kept him. And Meshack is a guy. A lot of teams love a defender like that. So, to me, it's like you kind of have to make choices, and I think that's what they did. And those are the right choices. And then you never hear a peep about it, And so that's what you have to do. But obviously that's also different in basketball. In basketball, it's a small group of people, and if you have a core of good players. So I think there'll be more. I think we'll see that even if it doesn't change. But then, you can't do it across the board. In football, there's so many guys and just so many possibilities for that. Like Chris said, this is why Saban got out. Yes. But again, I mean, this is why they have to figure this out. And the NCAA trying to, just trying to do everything but get to the obvious thing you have to get to, which is if it's professional, then it's employment.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't have to be like a full labor management agreement, but you have to have some kind of collective bargaining, and you have to deal with the market. Like this whole, Ed's like, why not a salary cap for NIL? Is there a salary cap for coaches, Ed? No, there's not. Now granted, if you're going to do a salary cap for NIL, that's like in the NFL where it's basically 50% of the revenue, fine. But then you get into the whole issue of, like, they have the revenue sharing. Now you have all the sports, right? So, I mean, to me, you can't try to stop the market from working. And then if you do, you're going to go back to when Saban loved college football, when people just got bags of cash under the table, and amazingly how the best programs with the best players would come down to the end of these bidding wars and get these players because money was flowing then too.
Oh,
so that's that's the system Saban liked.
Well, beyond all that, I mean, right now the courts have basically told you that you can't cap it. Like that's basically what the courts have said is if you try to cap it, we're going to shoot you down. Like that's basically what it is. Now, can you find a way around that if you can unionize this whole thing and get them as employees? Maybe. But right now, the way things are, you can't put a cap on it. They'll take you to court and they'll win.
Right, but like this revenue share, they're trying to do like this clearinghouse where they determine what your fair market value is and everything. It's like if Kentucky wants to pay this point guard $4 million, shut up. I mean, like you can't. I don't care about your clearinghouse or your fair market. It's all this crap that they keep trying to get in the way. Again, the movement is the problem. The movement constantly is the problem. So how do you address that?
Well, and there's something that I think should be done that's relatively easy that I think has got to be implemented on that front that we'll get into coming up next. More of your thoughts to get to on the Nico Iamaleava situation at Tennessee. We'll have Jared Stillman coming up at 7 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal is from 12 Stones Crossing Golf Club in Goodlettsville. They offer 18 championship holes spanning over 6,800 yards with the meandering Madison Creek as its centerpiece. Love it out there at 12 Stones. People are feeling their oats right now with the golf and the Masters going on. Rexrode was just talking about maybe stretching, going to the driving range after this, so we'll see what happens. You get half off $50 gift card for 12 Stones Crossing Golf Club while supplies last at thegamenashville.com/deals. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines. Skylar says, guys, y'all have wasted 30 minutes not talking about what's most important. Do you guys think Cam Ward is going to go number 1 overall to the Titans? Would love to hear you all talk about that some more.
Oh, you just wait, Skylar.
Thank you, Skylar. We appreciate it.
That was my suggestion for the whole show today.
Yeah.
Let's debate. Do you think
Will
the
it
Titans
happen?
are taking Cam Ward number 1?
A 9-minute run.
There you
I had
go.
somebody ask me yesterday, was like, how do you not get tired of talking about the draft? I was like, well, first off, I've been tired of talking about the draft for about 2 months, but people love it. So that's what we got to do. And here we are, less than 2 weeks away finally. So we will talk about the draft more. But yeah, I need the draft to happen.
Yeah, that's a thing. You know, we get sick of it, and then it'll happen, and then
what?
I mean, I guess we can talk about the actual players they now have in their team.
Yeah, who wants to do that?
Yeah.
One thing on this transfer stuff in college football, college sports in general, that I think we will probably eventually get to. You know, everybody keeps bringing up the coaching examples of this, of, well, the coaches can leave whenever they want, which is true. There's also a buyout associated with that. So I'm not saying that the buyout is always totally, prohibitive of somebody coming in and making a move with a coach. But I do think sometimes, depending on how much time and money is left on the contract, it makes you think about it a little bit before you're one of these programs.
Sure.
Like, we need to get that in with the player deals here. Like, there's got to be an outcome here eventually to somewhat limit this movement of, there's got to be some level of buyout, I think, associated with these player contracts in college football. We got to get to that point pretty soon here.
Yeah, and I do like the it's really like a soccer idea, like the transfer fee type thing. I mean, I don't hate that at all. Look, we complain about scheduling, right? And then it's always comes back to, yeah, but this is how these programs, the lower level programs fund themselves, and so like it's hard to totally get rid of that. I think that when these, and it is more of a basketball thing, but certainly it's a football thing too. You have, Middle Tennessee here has had several guys, go to a Power 5, or I guess it's now the Power 4 teams, right, and things like that. I think that I like the idea of if you take a player from a school like that, then there should be a fee associated with that back to the original school. I mean, especially like in hoops, Belmont should be getting something for all these ridiculously good players that are just all over college basketball that Casey Alexander found, I mean, and they're not the only example, but obviously they're a great local example. So I think that's part of it too. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, some level of deterrence, and again, just a level of certainty for coaches, but for fans too.
Yeah,
that, because like in pro sports, everybody knows, Jeff Simmons needs his deal this year. A.J. Brown needs his deal, or they're going to trade him. But like you know the timeline with these guys, and you can get more attached. And the difference is, even in pro sports, you could have an athlete for 15 years, which obviously I don't think that'll happen. Although, we got
a guest coming up at 7:30. We could ask about it.
I mean, I almost went to college for 15 years. So, I mean, I suppose, like, I would have if I could have. So I suppose that, we can get some lifetime education stuff going in here. Maybe we start getting some. Maybe we can get. Let's ask Clark Lee if he's got Pavia penciled in as a starter in 2033.
Do you think Pavia will be the quarterback for the next 25 years at Vanderbilt?
I mean, that's the thing. It's at some point. Does that get challenged? Like why do I have to be confined to eligibility as a thing? Why screw eligibility? The market says Vanderbilt wants me to be their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm kind of interested to see like the first person who makes that argument, and do they have a chance of being successful?
It's like, why can't I get a second degree? Yeah. I got a second four-year degree right now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes down. Real quickly, I'm not going to sit here on Friday, April the 11th, Joe, and totally break down Tennessee's roster here as to what it looks like in the fall, because there's another transfer portal window coming up that we just talked about, so we'll see if there's any movement there. My thought on it, my initial brush on it is this, though. Like, I think right now, Tennessee is worse than they were last year, barring Nico Iamaleava being significantly better. Like, if he plays great, then I think that could really overcome some things. But right now, I don't think they're a college football playoff team. Now, we'll see how it breaks down. But that's another thing here. Like, that's what the bar is going to be. Like, the expectation for them is going to be, you better get back in the college football playoff, and you might need to do some damage this time around with it. That's why they're paying him to begin with, is to be that guy. So if they're not that guy, if they don't do that this year, it's going to be interesting around there. See what the reaction is.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. They obviously lost some difference makers on defense for sure. And
McCoy's hurt. We'll see when he's back.
Yeah.
McCoy.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, I think you're right, but I think it is possible also that Nico takes that big step.
It is.
I mean, you got to remember it was his first year. He was technically a freshman. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, but he was a freshman last year. So you would hope that there would be a big jump. But yeah, I agree. If he doesn't make a big one, then they might be hard pressed. And their schedule is
yeah, I mean, it's
tough. It's tough enough.
It's not crazy tough, just as we sit here today. I mean, it's the same teams they played last year, so it's obviously it's navigable, but we'll see. I mean, it's a different year, different teams, different set of circumstances. They also, for the most part, got pretty good injury luck last year. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be different. It's a big year out there to see. Was that a 1 year flash in the pan type of thing last year, or are they on the ascent with him at quarterback? We'll find out. 615-737-1025, our phone number. I do have a Titans question for you that I've been burning to ask you coming up next. We'll do that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Win an exclusive Jason Aldean experience. Text in the keyword Jason to 615-737-1025 and receive a link to sign up for a chance to win all-inclusive tickets to the Eurostone Club at Bridgestone Arena to see Jason Aldean, plus a chance to win $1,000 in cash as well. Again, text the keyword Jason to 615-737-1025. Joe, a burning Titans question to ask you before we get to Stilly coming up at 7 o'clock, which I know you're excited about.
Yeah. Ask me as many questions as you want before we get to Stilly.
So as we sit here less than 2 weeks away from the beginning of the NFL draft, how many positions do you feel good about with the Titans? I'm not talking okay. I'm not talking, well, if everything in the world breaks their way and they get some good luck here, it could work out fine. How many position groups for the Titans do you feel good about as we sit here today on Friday, April the 11th?
I'd say running back. I mean, Pollard was good last year. Bad offense, he was good. And Spears, I think you could upgrade on Spears, but he's a serviceable third down back. So I think I would qualify that as good. I would say defensive tackle. I would say good, and they did add to that a little bit, sort of a combo guy to go with Mr. Biscuit and Mr. Simmons. I'd say, you feel good about that. Could be better than good. Does Devondre Sweat take a step? How does Simmons come back? But I mean, you have to feel good about it, I think. I'd say I feel
See, that's why I'm asking the question.
The only other position that I'm considering, because are you saying position group, is that the whole offensive line? Or you're saying like guards and tackles?
For the sake of this discussion, we can go whole offensive line if you want to.
I'm not saying good there. I mean, I feel a little better. Yeah, I would say, corner could be good. If you tell me that L'Jarius Sneed is playing next year, then I would say good.
Yeah.
So, but
big if.
Woozy's out. Obviously McCreary's a good player, and they found, they found a rookie last year who can play. But yeah, no, I'm going to stick with DTs and RBs. There we go. T's and P's. Wow. DTs and RBs.
So, I mean, that kind of highlights where they're at in the draft, because I think I'm with you. I think running back I feel good about, basically because I feel good about Pollard. And then, like you said, with Spears, look, I still will not be surprised if at some point in the draft they take a running back and try to upgrade on Spears. I'm not saying that's what I would do based on the way that their needs fall right now, but they may get to a situation later in the draft where a running back is clearly the best player, and it's a pretty good year to need a running back. So we'll see what happens on that front. Like Sweat and Simmons, I feel good about. I don't think there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done there. I think literally everywhere else, edge rusher, linebacker, and I would say this, the other one that I put into consideration of saying that I feel pretty good about is safety, just because I feel good about the starters there in Woods and Hooker. But again, like beyond those guys, there's not a ton there right now. So I still think you could even, you need a younger guy there.
Oh, yeah.
I think. So I still don't know that I feel good about that, but at least you have a couple of starters there that can play. So you know that.
Yeah, it's better than some.
Right. And then offensively, I mean, we don't even need to bring up receiver. I don't feel good about tight end. I know they have two starters, quote unquote, there too. They got to upgrade those guys, in my opinion, at some point. So the bottom line is, it's still, even through free agency, for the meat of free agency, a roster right now where you feel good about very few positions on this roster right now.
Yeah, and I thought maybe there'd be a little bit better feeling at some of them by now, but they haven't done a ton. Hey, Keezer, make sure on your way out, you Robby, just if you heard that, he said edge rusher, linebacker. Make sure you make that a drop.
Get that all in there
for our next intro of our show.
Yeah,
so
that'd be good.
We can get that in there.
I mean, I don't feel good about kicker anymore. We'll see. I don't know how good Joey Sly is going to be.
Yeah,
kicking the ball.
I don't feel as good. There for sure. Brian says I feel good about parking lot attendance and not much else. Team is trash. Wow, Brian, bringing some negativity on a Friday, Brian.
Yeah. Well, how about that?
Do you feel good about the parking lot attendants? Sometimes they
sometimes get so crazy down there.
Yeah, sometimes they send me the wrong way.
I mean, Keith does bring up long snapper. I mean, they've been set at long snapper for a while now, so I feel pretty good about
That's
long
true.
snapper.
That is true. If we're gonna be able
Morgan
to
Cox is out
boil
there
it down to just the long snapper position,
Yeah.
absolutely, he's a stud.
Yeah. So then that gets back into, well, you feel good about very few of the positions on this roster. You should be trying like mad to trade back from pick number 35 and picking up as many picks as you possibly can. Which I get it. Like there are people that, we keep bringing up like Burden, and if by some miracle both Burden and Igbuka fall down to 35 and are still there, or what do you do if James Pierce is there? Like there are some guys that could be there at 35 that it would be very difficult for me to pass on if I'm the Titans. But I got a text from a buddy yesterday. It's like, I don't care who's there at 35. Trade back and go get some more picks.
So we can – I forget who this was. I was listening to some of the TD Power Hour yesterday on Stilly's show, and someone suggested the Titans would look to trade back up into the first round for one of these receivers, which to me is like that. That's exactly what they have continued to do here during this time period, which, the GM who just got fired. And I think that's crazy. Sticking and picking, okay. If it's absolutely someone that you, again, if Burden's there and you're like, whoa, Burden's there. Okay, fine. I can't argue with that if you have a player that you really have high on your board. But I'm with you. I mean, to me, the ideal situation is that you get more picks and get as many new players here as possible.
I don't even know if trade up, that phrase, should be in their vernacular this draft. Like I don't even know that I would consider it if I'm them. Yeah. I guess if somebody crazy falls down that you're stunned by that.
And the way you evaluate that person is like, we cannot blow this. But it'd have to be because, I like Luther Burden. I like I like Igbuka.
Igbuka?
Yeah, Igbuka. Thank you. God. I like them. I think they're both good. I don't
think I'm trading up for either one of them.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah. Like I like them. They're good. I think in some years, like in this draft, they're like the third and fourth best receiver, potentially. But I don't know. In some other drafts in recent years, they might be more like 7, 8.
Yeah. We'll have Stilly with us coming up next. We'll get into the Titans and the NFL draft with him. I may have to get after him about his ridiculous Masters take, too. We'll see what happens.
Let's do
it. This
is
Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. And as we do every Friday morning at 7 o'clock, we welcome in our friend Jared Stillman to the program. Stilly, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. You got a whole entire crew here working for you. I mean, I'm one person.
Yeah.
For 4 hours, you guys got, 10 producers and everything. And just, but no, it's Keyser's last day. And I just want everybody to know how great of a dude Keyser was to work with and how great of a dude Keyser is in general. And I'm really going to miss him.
Yeah, that's well said. And like you said, it's a big operation here. We got donuts. We got all these people hanging around the studio. It's a crowded place today. So big stuff here on the Robby and Rexrode program. Stilly, I want to start here with you before I yell at you about the Masters a little bit later in the segment. So,
do you have a little plastic Masters glass with the little Augusta logo on it? That
I
you
don't.
drink
I need
from
to
in
get
October and July and things like that.
No, I think next year I'm going to order like the the little snack packs that they send out. I'm going to get that
Pimento sandwich.
Yeah, I'll get some pimento sent my way. We'll do that for sure. I want to start with you on the Titans front here from this question though. Going back to the Baker Mayfield discussion that we've had this week. My question for you, Stilly, is this: what upsets you more about this discussion? Would it be, in fact, Cam Ward being taken at number 1 overall and having the type of season that Baker Mayfield had last year? Or are you more upset around the conversation of the supposed hypocrisy from Titans fans, where they would take what they saw from Baker last year, but most of them wanted no part of Sam Darnold?
It's a very, very good question. I would argue I'm probably more mad in the moment about the second thing, which is Baker. If he can beat Baker, that's a home run. Sam Darnold sucks. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Baker threw for 4,700 or 4,500 yards. Sam threw for 4,300 yards. Sam won 14 games. Baker won 10. Baker had a rating of 106. Sam 102. They were the same guy last year. And you're like, if we can get the Baker season, it's the best. Sam sucks. So that absolutely pissed me off.
That's what I thought.
But I would also say that, again, given the spot the Titans are in, I'm not doing this thing where I know they had an opportunity to improve quarterback in free agency. They had no interest in doing anything in free agency. I mean, PK came back from the combine and said they're not doing – I mean, think Mac Jones. So it wasn't as if, oh, yeah, they called Darnold and Darnold said no, thank you. They called the Seahawks about Geno Smith and they said no, thank you. It was no. They had no intention of fixing quarterback in free agency. So if you're not going to fix quarterback in free agency, it's because you're going to draft your franchise quarterback, unless you're in a spot like the Browns where you're paying a guy $46 million. So you got to take a cheap guy. So I'm like, all right, fine. If you're going to forgo, again, what I think is a good starter in free agency, a Baker level starter, in order to go draft a Kyler level starter, then everybody should be fired because that's stupid. But if you're going to draft a guy that you think is going to be a force multiplier, you think is going to be Jaden Daniels, then you draft him. So, I mean, I'm kind of more worked up from the idea that everybody, with the exception of Louis Riddick, tells me that Cam Ward's not that good. And, I mean, I've seen the Cam Ward tape, and there's good in the Cam Ward tape. But, I mean, I wouldn't risk my career on Cam Ward. So that bothers me. But, the more immediate anger probably comes from the Baker-Sam Darnold thing. But because again, I think what happens is with Sam Darnold, that people are just like, that sucks. Like that Monday Night Football 8 years ago, he said he was seeing ghosts. Sucks. And that probably bothers me the most in the short term. But in the long term, it's going to be if Cam Ward is a mid-level quarterback, and now we're talking about, well, you got to give him $58 million a year because that's the going rate for a mid-level quarterback. And I'm like, does this team even get to the playoffs? Nope. Well, okay. Still got to give him $58 million. We're stuck with him. That I'm not interested in that. And that's what's going to happen.
Well, you don't know what's going to happen. So, right. But the point, I understand what
Dane
you're saying.
Brugler, are you disagreeing with Dane Brugler's The Beast, Joe?
Well, Dane Brugler does a great
Keep in mind, this may get you fired from The Athletic if you say you disagree with The Beast.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, Dane Brugler does a great job. I love The Beast. It is the best draft guide. And also, I could go back to, you pick a year. I'll go back and find some stuff in The Beast and be like, oh my God, look at what he thought about this guy. Yeah, I mean, we're all wrong all the time. on these guys. But I think the point, Jared, is now that they're at this spot, the point of the whole thing is to win a championship, right? It's not to have a quarterback who does this or that, we have a franchise quarterback. Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be that exciting to Chiefs fans if he was just having 5,000-yard seasons if they didn't win championships, right?
I don't know. I think Lamar Jackson's pretty exciting to Ravens fans.
Yes, but well, sure. He's a great player and you love him as a player, but also because every year you feel like you got a chance and they haven't done it yet, but you got a chance, right?
There's no quarterback that if they have like a 5,000-yard season that you don't think there's a chance with. I mean, like Herbert would be the example where I'm like,
I can show you some Matt Stafford seasons with the Lions that got pretty close where no one thought there was a chance. But the point is, so if you have a season like the Baker is obviously the example given this year, if that's the performance you can get regularly, if you can build a team, I know, right. But to me, that's how I looked at the question. If you can build a team around that, you can have a chance to win a championship. You can win a championship with a top 12, top 14 quarterback. No? Yes or no?
Yes. I think it's easier, though, if you get the quarterback without using the super, super premium number 1 overall pick to build your team around that eventual quarterback. I mean, again, trading the number 1 pick out is what allowed the Titans to be able to build a team eventually around Ryan Tannehill that competed for a spot in the Super Bowl.
Right. We're on the same page on what they should do. We know what they're going to do, and none of us think they should do it. I mean, that's, right? Like, that's what it is.
Well, that's, again, my point is what's happened now is I think most people in the media, I think that most people, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I do feel like most people going into free agency said, yeah, these quarterbacks aren't that good. So just figure out quarterback, stopgap quarterback or Sam Darnold or whatever. We didn't know Geno Smith was available, but that would have been another option. That kind of quarterback, and then trade the pick and get all the draft capital and build the team up. And the Titans didn't do that. Well, now it's like, well, they didn't do that, so this is what they should do. No, to me, it's like that's what they should have done. And I'm going to keep hammering that down because I think they blew it, and we'll see. And I'm hopeful that I'm wrong because I'm a Titan fan. But at the same time, like, I'm not forgetting that the reason they're in this situation and not doing what they should be doing, and we're not doing what we should be doing, which is talking about what are they going to do with 3 and 34 and 65 and next year or whatever. Like, the reason is because they chose this path, and that bothers me.
So you brought up Louis Riddick.
I think it's easier to build it around, again, the Baker Mayfield quarterback you can get in free agency than it is to draft the quarterback number 1 and then build around the quarterback.
It's good for
unless
the cap,
he's
though. Salary cap,
force multiplier.
Salary cap help, though.
Well, the Amy cap might be a real thing because if this team sucks this upcoming year, I know they say the PSL sales are going great, but we'll see.
Oh, Jared thinks they're lying.
We'll see. So you brought up Louis Riddick.
The first time that A, I've thought that they've lied, and B, that they have lied.
Well, there's that. So Louis Riddick throws it out there on, I guess it was NFL Live the other day, that he thinks that Cam Ward is going to have the same impact as Mahomes. Now, does he actually mean that? I don't know, but that's what he said. So on one hand, like, you've got all these draft experts, and we've talked about the consensus boards and all that basically have Cam Ward as like the 13th or 15th best prospect in the draft. And on the other hand, Jared, you've got guys like Louis Riddick, and I know Todd McShay's talked about Cam Ward and thinking he could be pretty special. Like, there are some guys out there on TV who think that Cam Ward is about to be like incredible for the Titans. So where's the disconnect there in your mind?
So I've decided I'm going to use this with Cam Ward with Louis Riddick as the litmus test, because Louis Riddick interviews every now and then for general manager jobs. And people always say, oh, Louis Riddick should be a GM. So guess what? This is the litmus test now for Louis Riddick, because I think Louis Riddick is just a talking head on television. Like, I think he and Dan Orlovsky are hot takers who come off as experts for whatever reason. And I think they're really more hot takers like me than they are experts like
Jared. Always ignores what people like actually play in the league. And like, okay, sure. Keep going. Go ahead.
I mean, look, I love Chris Sanders with all my heart. He's a good man. You guys, should we make Chris Sanders GM?
Probably not.
I'll make him GM before I make you GM.
I mean, hey, If I was GM, I'd hire Chris to be assistant GM. So who am I to say that?
There you go.
But again, I go back to, would you hire D Mace to be GM?
I don't know. It'd be pretty good.
Again, hierarchy, D Mace, then here, you down here. But yeah.
I just, with Louis
better
Riddick, to
bring
me,
it.
this is the litmus test here of whether or not Louis Riddick is actually a smart football person, or again, just a taker on TV. And right now, I'm guessing he's just a taker on TV, because very few other people are going to sit there and say, he's Mahomes. And that's exactly what he said. Like, Robby's like, I don't know if he actually meant that. I played the cut like 8 times yesterday. He said, he's like, my comp for him is Patrick. And I think that's what you're getting. And I think the impact that he's going to have is the impact that Patrick
I
had
know
in
he said
Kansas
that,
City.
but like, how could you possibly mean that? Like, Mahomes has got 3 Super Bowls and is on track to be the greatest quarterback of all time. That's
But
the
not only
impact
that,
he's talking about.
Here's the other thing that, again, and Joe doesn't believe this, but I believe this, which is I don't think it's an accident that Patrick Mahomes was kind of discovered, drafted, developed by the best offensive coach, had the best wide receiver, the best tight end. Like, I don't think that's an accident. And right now you're going to bring Cam Ward to a team where we don't even know if Brian Callahan could coach. And if I'm a betting man, I would, and I like Callahan and I hope he does well, but if I'm a betting man, I would bet against Callahan's ability to coach. And his number 1 receiver is Calvin Ridley, not exactly Tyreek. And his tight end Chig can't catch. So other than that, I mean, it's set up perfectly for him to become Mahomes.
What are you saying I don't agree with?
You think that Mahomes would be great no matter what, and I think that Mahomes was great because Andy Reid developed him and put him into the right situation.
Well, no,
exactly.
no. See,
and
you're
whereas, like, I think Burrow would have been good if he had gone to play for the Nashville Sounds.
Yeah, that's the part of the take that's just mind blowing. Yeah, no, Patrick Mahomes had to have Reid, but Joe Burrow is just absolutely system proof. That's such a crap take.
Joe Burrow's coach is a dope.
No, he's not. Just stop it.
You
Look,
think his coach is Andy Reid?
no, Andy Reid is a better coach, and absolutely I believe that Mahomes benefited from all those things. I also believe that Mahomes, if he went to the Lions for a lot of their existence, I said this about Brady. Brady goes to the Lions that year, like the 5th round. He's coaching middle school football at age 28. I
don't
seriously.
disagree with you about Brady. The 2 quarterbacks that I feel like are, moron proof are Manning and Burrow.
No.
I mean, you think that Manning went to the organization that has already taken 2 quarterbacks in Luck and Richardson and done everything they can do to ruin both of them.
They all need help. I mean, they all need help. Manning had incredible talent around him. They all need help.
It is kind of incredible in retrospect that they were successful as they were under Jim Irsay. Jim
Irsay and Jim Mora Sr.
Yeah.
Jim Mora Sr. was the coach. And Manning was 13-3 or whatever it was in year 2. And that was
they had your boy Bill Polian, though.
No, Polian's good. I mean, again, when you go to the Super Bowl as many times as he goes to the Super Bowl with different organizations, it's probably not a fluke. Even though Paul thinks Polian doesn't know anything anymore.
All right, so I got to get to your Masters thing. What are we struggling here with, Stilly, on the Masters comprehension here? I'm trying to figure out what your problem with the Masters is here.
So my biggest problem with the Masters is not so much like the fact that it's the biggest golf tournament and people are going to watch. And if it's interesting on Sunday, I'll watch it too. It's the reverence that these Bama Bangs 18, 23-year-olds from the South just have with the Masters. And then they become like 35-year-olds and 40-year-olds, and they wear Masters polos, and they drink from little plastic cups with the Masters logo on it, and they wear Masters hats all year, and they tear up every time they hear that little CBS jingle.
Yeah,
and and it's like, oh, the Masters. And I'm like, is it really that special?
Yes.
Like right now, apparently some guy, and again, I read this on Reddit, so I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently somebody that worked at StubHub sold the Masters the info of all the people that sell their badges or whatever. So the Masters is canceling it because you're not allowed to put it on the secondary market. And I read these people that are like, I would kill to go to the Tuesday practice round at the Masters one day. I would just kill for it.
I think I would too.
But it's why?
I think he might kill
just
you.
Just go to the Valspar. Go to the Valspar.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
the same.
Same golfers. It's the same.
Yeah, you could go watch a football game at Neyland Stadium, but why not go over here to the park in Metro Nashville? It'd be good.
Somebody tweeted me yesterday,
football.
and they said, would you rather see the Rays play the Red Sox at Fenway Park or Tropicana Field? I'm like, I've been to both. I like Tropicana Field more.
What?
Like, Tropicana Field's not bad.
Well,
Tropicana Field's kind
You've
of like
been to Fenway and Tropicana. I've been to both too, and you like Tropicana Field more than Fenway.
I hated Fenway.
Good God.
Maybe your hottest
Fenway's so tight and cramped and old, and like I had to
get it out of here.
There.
We got this awesome dome to watch baseball in.
Just
Way
go watch
better.
the Masters this weekend,
God.
Stilly.
Did you coach
is
or
beautiful.
Did you cover games at Fenway Park, Joe?
No, I went to go a Tigers Red Sox game with Katie.
It was a nightmare covering games with like one elevator you got on that elevator at Fenway Park and you didn't know if you were going to make it out.
Beer and chowder and baseball and history. but you like Tropicana Field better.
So I went to Tropicana Field 2 years ago when the Braves were down there. And all I ever hear about is how terrible the stadium is and how the Rays are going to leave because the stadium sucks so bad.
It does suck.
I went there. I was like, this is a good stadium. It's a good stadium. It is a good stadium. It is like Nissan Stadium. It's not, it's not super ritzy. It's not super nice. It's not super, but it's good enough. It's a good stadium. And all I ever hear about is
a stadium.
About it. It's a good stadium.
They've got foul poles and everything.
Hope everybody enjoys the Masters this weekend. Just be thinking about how you could be watching the Valspar Championship.
Here's the other thing I don't like about the Masters at this point in time.
Oh, we didn't ask for this tape, but yeah, give us another one.
When I was a kid, they used to do the thing on CBS I used to like, where they'd line up all the announcers, and it'd be like, I'm Peter Costas, and I'll be at the 15th hole.
Yeah, Vern's out there.
423-yard par 5, and it was originally a par 4. But when Arnold Palmer said, I could never, ever make a par 4, they made it a par 5. The next year, Arnie eagled for his second green jacket. And now on the 16th hole, here's Vern Lundquist. And they don't do that anymore. That was my favorite part. They don't even do that anymore.
Hey, Vern was there last year. Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Vern's retired now.
I know. It's a tough one. Stilly, thank you for being with us. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Keezer, we love you.
Thanks, Jared.
Very well said. We'll react to what Stilly had to say coming up next. We got Clark Lee at 7:30. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Atlanta Braves country road trip coming to town, teaming up with the Nashville Predators and 102.5 The Game. Join us at BetMGM Sports Lounge in Bridgestone Arena on Wednesday, April 16th for a Braves watch party as they take on the Tampa Bay Rays at noon. We got awesome giveaways like a chance to win Braves tickets to the game of your choice every 30 minutes, plus Braves hats, T-shirts, autographed baseballs. The first 15 people in the door will win a pair of Preds tickets to that night's game as well. For more details, visit thegamenashville.com/events. We'll be joined by Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here in just a few minutes, coming up at 7:30. So looking forward to that. I figured, Joe, the genesis of Stilly's frustration this week as it relates to the Baker Mayfield conversation has more to do with how Titans fans would take that and how they did not want any part of Sam Darnold, which I guess to some degree I understand.
Yeah, now it was 1 year with Darnold, and we've seen it for multiple years from Baker. But I'm for the most part in agreement. I bought in to Darnold last year, and I would have kicked the tires at least on that possibility with Sam Darnold. I understand how it ended. It ended poorly. He was not good in those last 2 games. You and I watched some games with Sam Darnold playing this year.
We did.
Pretty freaking good, man.
Yeah.
And terrific
Thoroughly
support
upset me.
around him.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry about that. Sorry to bring it up.
We got a lot of thoughts on Stilly's Fenway take on the text line
God.
as well.
Like,
Mark
what
from
are we
Ashland City
doing?
says, I've heard so many awful hot takes from Stillman, so I shouldn't be surprised about his Fenway take, and yet I am. That's the worst sports take I've ever heard in my life. Fenway is incredible. One texter just said, Stillman lost all credibility talking loco, saying the Trop is better than Fenway.
God, it's so bad.
And then we got other people going after the Masters take, adding another tally to his moronic takes. It was quite the back-to-back there on the Masters take and Tropicana Field being better than Fenway Park.
Yeah, I like this one. Stillman is truly a lost ball in tall weeds. I kind of like that. Bring it to golf. I like it. Yeah. Yeah. The Fenway take is that's one to keep in mind. We need to have a master list of the worst takes, and the Fenway Tropicana take needs to be on that sucker. You just entered one into the archives, man. I mean, my God.
We have some news in the NFL. You know, Joe, we spoke several times about this player yesterday, and now he has found a job. The Cleveland Browns and veteran quarterback Joe Flacco have reached an agreement today on a 1-year, $4 million deal.
Okay.
Worth up to $13 million with incentives. That's coming from Schefter, who put it out there. So Flacco back to Cleveland, and he has reached a 1-year deal with the Browns at age 40.
Well, I shed a tear for the texter this week that's just been screaming about Flacco. I forgot your
Caleb.
name. Sorry. It's Caleb. Sorry, Caleb. There you go. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I do wonder.
To take him out of the Cousins, right?
I do wonder, does that mean that they just don't think that that's going to happen with Cousins? That's kind of what I've been hoping for. I think that would be really interesting. And like Charles said yesterday, it would kind of make sense, to see how everything all shakes out at quarterback with all these teams after the draft, and then maybe there's a spot. But yeah, it'd be weird for me. I know it's only $4 million, but it'd still be weird for me that they would sign Flacco and then go trade for Cousins.
That would be strange. I mean, it could be the Cousins, Flacco, Kenny Pickett QB room with Deshaun Watson, I guess, just rolling around out there. Could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be. Texter's asking if we drug test here. We don't. And I do think today may be the time we may need to start, maybe policy change today, but potentially.
Clark Lee, Vanderbilt football coach, will join us coming up next. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 7:45. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. It is a beautiful time of year. The weather's turning. Spring football is in the air. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Vanderbilt head football coach Clark Lee to the program. Clark, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are y'all doing?
Doing awesome, man.
Good.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us. We got the black and gold spring game coming up tomorrow, 1 o'clock at First Bank Stadium. By the way, you can hear that action here on 102.5 The Game. So, Clark, let's just start there. What's the spring been like for you and your program to this point, and how much you're looking forward to tomorrow?
Well, I don't know that there's a program in the country that's had a bad spring. It's typically we like to see everything in the most positive light this time of year. But here's what we've been able to do. In the winter, our guys were training with a strength coach that they'd become familiar with from last year, and so systems have been retained. People have been retained. There's a level of comfort. It feels like year two, and that's exciting because we felt like we made a ton of progress a year ago. And feel like we've retained a pretty good team. We've added some pieces to it that I think will help us. And I've been impressed with the work we've gotten accomplished through the winter, and again, training in the weight room to now having, we'll have practice 14 today, which will be like a walkthrough. That's been competitive. It's been spirited. We've had fun. And so tomorrow is going to be a celebration of all that. And it'll be a quick afternoon. We'll be playing for right at an hour, but I think it'll give fans a chance to see, obviously, some of the players they've become familiar with and some new players, and just a chance to engage with the program and check in on the progress and get games at 1 o'clock. The Kids Zone opens at 11 a.m. If the two of you guys want to get out there, and we'll have some donuts maybe, and you guys can run around and play on the slides and such.
That's all I need.
Oh, there's not a weight limit on those?
No.
Okay.
Listen, we've it's the technological advances, and then we're going to do some autographs after the game too. So I think it'll be a great afternoon, and again, it's just a chance for everyone to check in on progress, but also really look forward to what the fall could hold for our program.
So you're not obviously a coach who's freaked out about spies showing up and scouting your players. It's seriously some coaches have obviously have gotten rid of these spring games. Have you thought about that at all, Clark? Or are we looking out for spies tomorrow? Like, what do you think about all that?
It's interesting. I certainly understand what, I understand kind of the concerns and the conditions right now for our game. It's chaos. And so what I'm doing is what I think is best for our program. And we're still trying to build out our community. I think we had a season that has gotten people excited. We have a team that gets people excited, and I want to share in that with Nashville and give ourselves a chance to continue to build. And that's more important to me than being fearful of people coming in and trying to poach our players. And I'm not naive anymore to the fact that, the portal will open next week, and I think I have a pretty good pulse on where we are. And I think there's going to have to be some necessary turnover here. So it's not like we're going to get out of that without losing players. That's just a part of roster management. But at the same time, we're a little different here in that, these guys on our team, they've invested a lot. They've really done hard things together, and I think they feel some ownership stake in what we're doing. And look, they're all excited. They want to continue to help this program that we've all poured into reach for new levels of success. And I think we all kind of can feel the opportunity we have to do that. And so rather than be fearful of some external force coming in and trying to mess with that, I'm really more interested in us, having the opportunity to celebrate the progress we made together, and then also to do it with our community. I think that's so important here, because part of the mission is to obviously to build a program that cares about itself again, has a group of people that are investing independent of what anyone else thinks about what we're doing, but also as a Nashvilleian, as someone who grew up in this city and grew up going to games, I want to build out a community that supports our team so that, Saturdays in the fall in First Bank Stadium or something that create memories for people. And again, the spring game tomorrow is a chance for us to do that.
You can get tickets at vucommodores.com, free parking out there as well. So it should be a great time coming up tomorrow. So Clark, you talk about the investment level, and I'm just curious. You saw some payoff for that last year. It was such a fun year to watch you guys and to be a part of all that. So in the aftermath of that, how energizing has the year that you all had last year been for you, been for your guys, this program, and how have you kind of seen that manifest itself to this point in the spring?
Well, the challenge is always to reset yourself. And I mean, I learned, a couple years ago that you can see kind of signs of progress, but you got to still systems check and scrutinize everything because, especially in our league, you're not guaranteed anything by way of, doubling down on your process and thinking that's going to lead to better results. So here's what we learned last year. We learned we can be good enough to win games if we play within our identity and strategy. I saw a team that was 2-2 and had come off a tough loss at Georgia State and a double overtime loss at Missouri. Set its jaw and really reestablish the things that were most important to us. Hey, we're going to play with an identity, which is a chip on our shoulder and have an edge. We're going to play to a strategy, which is about game control offense and point limitation defense. And we needed to eliminate penalties and some of those self-imposed errors. And we committed to it. And we were able to then turn and turn some results and really be in some competitive games where, we felt like we were able to play with anyone. Now, I felt as the year wore on, and particularly after the Auburn game, and we were beat up, and it felt as though we had kind of squeezed everything out of the tube to get to 6. And though we came in the South Carolina game and in the LSU game and the Tennessee game, I thought we had the right spirit. We weren't able to sustain play to allow ourselves to win in those games. And so a lot was learned about the need for depth, about the need to really think about how we sustain performance through the season. If we want to win late in our conference, we're going to have to take a healthy and fresh team into November. And obviously the goal for us is to play into January. And so, we've been addressing that right now with, kind of what we're asking our players to do and sacrifice in their own habits, obviously in the way we train them to set the course for, durability. And then as we shift into the summer and then the fall camp, I'm going to be really thinking long and hard about how we practice day in, day out. So that again, we have a fresh team late in the season. I think all those things are points of improvement for us. When you look at our actual season, I mean, analytically, we performed lights out in very specific areas that we emphasize. And there's also places where, continued performance at the level that we played at a year ago, there's no way it's sustainable. And one of those would be third down defense. We have to improve in that area. Another would be explosive plays on offense. Again, an area we have to improve upon. So we've taken time to address those things, and we'll continue through the summer and the fall camp. To finally answer your question about what the feeling has been, we're all just so excited because I think we see the specific areas we need to address. I think we have clarity on that, and we've intentionally and purposefully worked on those areas. And so every day you feel like you're taking ground on the mission. And we know that the league strengthens. We know the schedule's hard. We know all those things, but what we're going to do is focus on ourselves and try to be the best possible version of Vanderbilt football that we can be, and know that that's going to be good enough. And we're going to have a chance to, again, to build on the progress of last season in the fall.
How is Diego Pavia's health, Clark? Is he going to get a lot of action tomorrow? I know he didn't play a ton in the scrimmage last week.
He'll obviously we're not gonna We're not going to hit him. And his health is great. I mean, I watched him put on a master class yesterday. We were working kind of fourth down and throw situations tight to the goal line. So it'd be like, to me, some of the hardest calls to make defensively are like, you got 4th and 10 or 4th and 8 from the 8, 4th and 10 from the 10. Those are really challenging. Do you pressure? Do you leave? Who do you leave on an island? Where can you double? And so I think those situations are important to work and practice. So we were doing that yesterday, and within that too, some third down situations also, and just to watch him, use the play clock, identify where the pressure's coming from, change protections, move the formation around to account for it, and then extend the play and find an open receiver. I mean, it's he gets so much attention for his play personality and his charisma and that swagger, which we all love. I think what's undervalued in him is the process he takes day in, day out to his work, the level of connection he builds with his teammates, some of the things he does in the quiet corners of the building that really strengthen our program. But beyond that, I mean, this kid is a really smart football player. And, what I watched yesterday, I've not seen from a quarterback, just in terms of the way he can handle himself, the way he can see it, and then his mastery of the offense to know how to get it into the right call. So all that to say, we don't want to expose him to any kind of injury tomorrow. He's in a great place right now. He's likely going to play, a few snaps early, maybe the first series or so. And we'll keep conversations about that ongoing in the building here, but otherwise he'll be there in support of his teammates, and he'll be able to interact with fans and stuff afterwards. And, again, I think he's had a really nice spring, and so the goal tomorrow is let's have some fun. Let's celebrate, the progress we've made together, and really have a chance to celebrate the past year, with our community, and let's get out of the game healthy.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Like I said, you can check it out at vucommodores.com. Looking for tickets. Tickets are free, parking free down there as well, and lots of activities going on around First Bank Stadium as the spring game starts tomorrow at 1:00. Clark, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate catching up with you. And college football season will be back around before we know it in the fall. So thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, great to be with you guys. And last thing for me, listen, it's going to be about an hour of playtime. Again, the kids zone opens at 11 a.m. If you have young kids, to bring them out and to let them have fun. I just ask everyone to come join us, and let's have a great Saturday afternoon. Should be great weather, and a chance for us to share in the spirit of what we're building. So thanks so much for the time, guys, and look forward to seeing y'all soon.
Look forward to it as well. Clark Lee, Vanderbilt head coach, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Again, the black and gold spring game coming up tomorrow. As you mentioned, the Kid Zone opening up at 11 o'clock, the game starting at 1, so it should be a lot of fun out at Vanderbilt tomorrow. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. We got TD coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all things Titans with him. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Did you see how quickly I destroyed that glazed donut?
Yeah, but you got it with like 30 seconds left before we came back from break.
It's disastrous. So I'm going to be in a bad mood today. I'd rather listen to REO Speedwagon fart into an accordion than go to a Creed show. But that's just me. No, but I hope you're a wiper. I certainly hope you're a wiper. I know you've been in the gym hard. Hope you're wiping just as hard as you're lifting, Charles.
But it's okay to have your own mints in your pocket, right?
Yeah,
you did, everybody.
You didn't distribute them to anyone else.
No, I'm done with that.
Anybody want my pocket mints? Pocket mints. Going once. Going twice. Anybody want one? It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. That was Keezer's final mashup there. He was proud of that one.
That was pretty good. There's some greatest hits in there, but I forgot about like what the wiper thing was.
Didn't know where that was going.
Yeah, like the gym, yeah,
equipment.
So I have nothing scripted. I don't have a plan necessarily, except that since Keezer's leaving, I'm gonna ask Robby, myself, and the listeners to give Keezer some life advice on his way out of the Robby and Rexrode program. So we have not talked about this because you can't. You have to go off the top of your head, off the cuff, first thing that comes to mind. So I invite the listeners to don't call because it's a lot easier to just deal with your texts and ignore the dumb ones and read the better ones quickly. But Robby, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it on you right now. What do we need to tell? Well, I don't know. I have no. Honestly, I don't really have good life advice.
Off the cuff.
I mean,
he doesn't know.
I've got a kid right there. You can ask him. I mean, have I given him any good life advice? Probably not.
Well, my life advice for you, Keezer, is this: you have done something in life already that I think is very difficult to do, and that is you found a passion that you have that you are pursuing as a career, and very, very few people on the earth get the chance to do that. So I would just say embrace that, enjoy that. Your passion for the game of hockey has served you well. It will continue to serve you well. And I look forward to watching you do great things in this business. So keep that in perspective. That would be my advice. Of not a whole lot of people get to do work that they love doing. So just enjoy that.
Absolutely.
That's good advice. That's good advice. It's like the choice. It's not always a choice, but sometimes a texter says, Nick, do the opposite of Joe. That's good advice. That's the type of stuff we're looking for here, folks. But it is sometimes the choice of, some people like kind of live in their job and some people live out. And I'm not saying either one is right or wrong, right? Like some people have a job, it pays the bills. And maybe sometimes a job like that can pay the bills better than the job that, that you love with your passion. And some people live in their job, right? And ideally you love what you do. There are people listening who are like, yeah, I clock in, I clock out, I get paid. And then the things that I love in life are outside of that, which is fine too. Right. But I think it is great that you have a passion for something that you want to pursue. Are
you stealing my advice for him?
I'm riffing on I'm following up on your advice.
Okay.
I don't have any advice.
Okay.
That's kind of, I guess that's kind of the rant. Is I don't have anything good to tell any young
Joe,
people.
empty mind. Thank you so much. The same thing for my wedding.
To offer.
What did I do for your wedding?
Nothing. You didn't really have much to say. I don't think so.
Did I give a speech?
Were you supposed?
No.
Was he supposed
Was
to?
I so drunk I forgot I gave a speech?
No, not that. I think it was more when I came back, we kind of reflected on what maybe you two had said.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
it's just a wealth of knowledge over here.
Oh, so in other words, my
yeah.
marriage, I probably had some, my big marriage advice.
I'll have to go back and listen.
I married my cousin last year.
You did what?
Let's please clarify.
Oh God, I said it again. I said it the wrong way again.
Can we please clarify what you're talking about?
That's twice that I've done that.
That's a drop.
For the love of God, let's clarify what you're saying there.
I served as the officiant.
Thank you.
And my cousin and his wife got married. I married another cousin last year.
Right in front of Brennan, man.
Yeah, I know. Brennan's like, wow. Well, it all adds up now.
I immediately needed you to clarify that for our audience.
Measuring cheek size. But anyway, now you understand what I'm saying. But one of the big things, my grandma, Brennan here's great grandma, he calls her Gigi, Phyllis Pratt, 97 years old. Her advice. I got advice from her to give him, and one of her pieces of advice was, like people are always like, "Don't go to sleep angry." And I'm like, that is such a load of crap. You're going to go to sleep angry plenty. It's fine to go to sleep angry. Just win the argument.
Especially as a Lions fan.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
your marriage advice from Rexrode. Just make sure you win.
No, but I mean, that's really not it. But the don't go to sleep angry is so not real life. You're going to just eventually make up, right? Like if you have to make up in the morning, make up in the morning. You could never go to sleep angry, my darling. It's like, come on, man. This is really going well.
Just make sure you eventually repair your relationship with your spouse.
Exactly. Give a fake apology at some point. It'll be fine. There's some good stuff on here, though. Do the dishes and marriage is one.
I do that every day. Thank you.
Never compromise your name, work ethic, or integrity. We got some heavy stuff here. I like this. Like treat people nice, especially when people aren't looking. I think that's treat people how you want to be treated. I think that's a great thing.
One note for Chase is he needs to do drug tests after those comments that you made.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, today is definitely the show of like kind of telling Chase we may need to vet some things a little more closely around here. Yeah, remember those who helped you along the way where you came from, pay it forward. This is all good stuff, Someone says, Joe, way to leave Nick worse than you found him. Hey, he's walking out of here. He's okay.
And again, Joe was the officiant in the wedding.
Yes.
For his cousin.
Yes. I was the officiant of my
make sure this is
wedding.
crystal clear before we move on.
Got no Sweet Home Alabama stuff going on here.
Someone's asking about
Alabama's taking a shot.
We got some Alabama shots on the
Kentucky's
text
taking
line
a shot over here too. Good gracious.
My goodness.
We'll have Turon Davenport with us coming up next. Get into all things Tennessee Titans with him, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ESPN's Turon Davenport, Talking Titans, now on Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is that time of the week. We head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our man, Turon Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, host of Talking with TD, as we are finally less than 2 weeks away from the first round of the NFL draft. TD, good morning. How we doing?
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, TD, you put it out there earlier this week that the Titans are going to be meeting with Quincy Riley, the corner out of Louisville, next week. So, in general, I'm curious of your thoughts of where the Titans currently stand at that position. We saw Woozy go. Obviously, there's a ton of pressure and a ton of reliance that they're going to have on Snead being healthy and available next season. But as you look at the draft, what do you make of where the Titans currently stand at corner, and how open do you think they will be, should be, in adding to that room at some point here in the draft?
Well, I think the best teams, what they tend to do is prepare early for possible exits. And Roger McCreary, he's going to be a free agent at some point. You know, they're going to have to figure out, are they going to re-up him or let him go? I like Roger McCreary, so I personally would bring him back. But you look at a guy like Quincy Riley that can play inside and out. That's tough. You know, he's feisty. Maybe not the same run defender as Roger McCreary, but he's someone that you could bring in, and that gives you somebody that could slide into that spot if need be. But then also you look at the uncertainty as far as Snead and that injury is concerned. They say that he's doing some light running and he's back working and on trending towards being healthy again, but you never know. So I think that is something you have to factor in right now when you look at the cornerback position.
All right, so TD, I'm going to ask you a question Robby asked me earlier on the show.
Okay.
Position groups, and we'll count the offensive line as a full group, but like, you know, D tackles, D ends, linebackers. Go around this team. How many, which ones would you say you feel good about right now? And I guess good is subjective, but like, you know, this is a group that can go out and be a winning group on an NFL Sunday. What positions would you look at?
I think the secondary overall, cornerback and safety, I think that's a group, you know, when healthy. That's the key thing. We know Amani Hooker is a very good player, but he's not always healthy, right? And he hasn't played a full year. But you mix in with Xavier Woods, who has been an Iron Man all of his career. I think that's a good DB, you know, secondary. And I think Mike Brown mixing in is solid for them. And then you look at cornerback, I think right now, right, and you got to look at the positive part of it. You know, if Snead comes back, you got Darrell Baker Jr., you got Jarvis Brownlee Jr., you got McCreary. I think that's a solid group. But after that, nothing.
That's a fair point.
Not even because DT was the one. I mean, you know, I thought, you know, with Sweat, you gotta hope Sweat takes a step, right? And then we'll see what Jeff has.
I'll give you that. DT, I think Sweat and Simmons, and then, you know, Keandre Cover, bringing him back was major. I think he's a good player that's just underrated, and I think he's a solid part of the rotation. So that was a slip up on my part. So I would say, hey, right up the middle, right? You know, secondary and interior D lineman, but it skips linebacker for sure.
So TD, we had somebody bring this up earlier this week about you and I being the only people that talk about Kyle Kennard. So I'm going to talk about Kyle Kennard again because I really like him, and I think he's got a chance to be a really good player in the league. What is it that you like specifically about him, and why do you think maybe in draft circles and in some of the conversation around edge rushers that he's not getting as much talk as maybe some of these other guys are?
Right, he's not getting as much talk because he's not as juicy of a prospect, right? You look at Shamar Stewart, oh man, he runs a 4.5, the traits, right? You look at, you know, James Pierce Jr., the traits, right? You look at all these guys, Landon Jackson, a guy I really like, you know, the length and the athleticism. You look at all that, but one guy that has just, the last time I checked, the Bronco Nagurski Award is given to the best what?
Yep.
Defensive player. And he won that award, right? And a lot of people, they're high on Will Campbell, and I get it. Well, go back and watch the LSU South Carolina film. If you really, like, actually watch that, you're going to come away like, man, Kyle Kennard is a dog because he got him 1.5 times. So I think, you know, when you look at Kennard, he has the things that I like as far as like you obviously love the traits, but I love the heavy hands. I love the tenacity. I love the motor. I love those things. And when you have a guy like that, typically those traits will transfer over into the league. A lot of times when guys who rely so much on athleticism to win, you're going against a different level of talent, and that doesn't always show up. But those guys that just have that drive, that motor, he has it. And I mean, you know, he was productive at Georgia Tech, and you get him to South Carolina, and that whole defense, like that was a wrecking crew, and he was the leader of it.
So TD, yesterday we had Louis Riddick on ESPN went Mahomes as a comparison, and actually said the impact of Mahomes is, again, you know, you can interpret that different ways, but that was a pretty strong statement, I thought. Yeah. And then, you know, Dane Brugler's draft guide, the Beast, said taller, slower Kyler Murray. So on the same day, you know, you got quite a range there of quite a range there of comparisons. I guess I mean, the Mahomes thing is like, obviously that's the dream for anybody drafting a quarterback at 1 overall. But what about Kyler Murray as a comp? Because I would not have thought of that. I think of Murray as such a running threat, and Cam, I think, you know, ran like, what did we say yesterday? 4.87? Is that what he ran? I mean, he did say slower, but still, what do you think of that comp? And I don't know, if you have a comp that's different from those guys, what would it be?
You know why you didn't think of Kyler Murray as a comp? Because comping him is wrong. It's real simple. I don't know what. And look, the Beast, you know, I know it's an industry favorite. Everybody loves it. I personally suggest go getting Emory Hunt's football game plan. It goes 1,200 players deep, and it doesn't just list the last 200 players. It gives you reports on all 1,200 players. It's better. I'll just put it out there. But as far as the comp, the Kyler Murray I don't know what he could have possibly been thinking with that. I don't really necessarily have a comp for Cam Ward. I do like the off like, you know, platform throws and things. And when Lou Riddick is talking about Patrick Mahomes comp, I think that's fair. But when you get into talking about the impact, no, we got to stop that too, because we're talking about a guy who's knocking at the door of being the best quarterback ever, right? And I don't think, you know, that's the way you want to compare Cam Ward. When I do comps, I always do traits. And that's why, you know, I see the Kyler Murray one, and I'm like, what on earth are you seeing? Because there are no traits that are similar. Maybe because they both wear number 1, and he was thinking of that. I don't know. But, yeah, Dane, like T.O. said, better go back and take another look, because that's dead wrong.
So, TD, we had Michael Duraco on last year before the season, and we were talking with him about Calvin Ridley. And one of the points he brought up was it took Ridley a long time in Jacksonville to get on the same page with Trevor Lawrence and to run the right routes and all those things. And he said it took him a couple months to do that. Then we saw him last year, and it took him a long time to get on the same page with Will Levis. What's your concern level that could happen again with Cam Ward, and how much of a task do you think it will be for Brian Callahan heading into camp to make sure that as quickly as humanly possible, Ward and Ridley are on the same page?
Yes, you know, the concern level should be high, because it's going to happen, right? I mean, it's happened elsewhere and already happened here. So that's something that you just got to kind of get the two ready to grow through it, right? Because sometimes, you know, like you'll have a choice route, right, or a side adjustment, and the quarterback might think one thing and the receiver thinks another, and then you see them going back and forth with each other on the field. You know what I mean? So those things are going to happen, but then it's all about, okay, how do we adjust? Like, how do we learn from that and make sure it doesn't happen again and again and again? And I think that's the big thing that Callahan has to look at. That's what Ty Tober has to look at. That's what Bo Hardegree has to look at. Nick Holtz as well. Like, they all have to figure out a way, okay, how are we going to get these two to learn from the mistakes that are inevitable to happen? That's the big thing. I talked to Ridley about that a lot during the season. And, you know, the main thing for him was like watch a film together and just getting the same understanding and idea of how to approach that. That's something that I talked to Xavier Restrepo about, and he said Cam Ward was awesome with that. So, I don't think it's going to change. I think he's going to really push to get on the same page with the guys, and I think it's going to happen, but they just have to figure out how to work through it.
TD, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us. We are less than 2 weeks away from draft time, so we're getting close. And have a great weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, man. You guys too.
Absolutely. Turon Davenport, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll react to what TD had to say. Take your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Weekend winners coming up at 8:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight as the Sounds take on Memphis. Pregame at 6:20, first pitch at 6:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Vanderbilt baseball later tonight as the Commodores take on Oklahoma. Pregame at 6:45. First pitch at 7 o'clock. Coverage available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment. Joe, I love Kyle Kennard. I hope the Titans end up with him and somewhere in the second, maybe early third if they trade back.
He's like your Rondale Moore or
He
your
is.
Cam Skadaboo.
Yeah, that's my guy. I'm
all about Skadaboo.
In retrospect, as much as I hate Shane Beamer, I do really like some South Carolina players. Like old Xavier Legette last year. First off, how could you not like him? But love that guy. And Kyle Kennard, I think, is really good.
Did you see the thing with Xavier Legette where he got like a new horse?
Yes, I did. He was just riding around town.
He was riding around town his new horse. Amazing stuff.
I mean, talk about a person who needs a reality show. He would be near the top of the list.
Yeah.
He's incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
I need him to be an outstanding player.
Now that they've apparently like Hard Knocks, they don't have the rules anymore. Just anybody can do it.
Just follow him around.
I mean, I think that's seriously. If I'm a Hard Knocks producer, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm like, that.
Go follow him.
Plus, between them, I mean, the Bryce Young storyline is interesting, but you got who knows what the owner might do.
Yeah,
some crazy
true.
crap at some point, just have some public outburst, get in a fight. I
Walk
mean, there's
into
a
a
lot
bar.
of possibilities. Go. I'm all in on the Panthers for Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I'm interested too. TD not a fan of the Kyler Murray comparison there at the Beast last time out. So
we have to get Dane on here to have a little TD, Dane point counterpoint, I guess. Yeah, I mean, again, like I think the obvious part of that comparison is the ability to extend and elude in the pocket, and Cam definitely like does that at times, like a eyes in the back of a head type. That's the only thing that to me, comes to mind. I don't know about. I mean, Kyler can rip it, So I guess there's that too. But obviously, Kyler can go get you big chunks on the ground, and I don't think Cam will be doing that in the NFL. You can just talk about. I actually heard D. Mace yesterday talking about how if you go back and watch film of him like from before last year, he can run better than people think. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be able to extend plays, but again, like a 4.9 kind of tells you, like he's not going to be a big threat on the ground, but extending plays. Eluding, sidestepping, running back this way, that way, then making a big time throw. That's the only thing I can think of when it comes to like a Kyler comparison.
Well, by the way, like I care about the ability to extend plays, buy yourself some time, and then throw it down the field way more than I care about the quarterback running the ball. Like it's nice to have the quarterback to run the ball.
You like to have that though.
You like to have Josh Allen and you like to have Lamar Jackson, but if I'm forced to choose, I would much rather have the ability to get yourself out of some trouble, look down the field, and throw the ball.
Yeah.
Mahomes can do both. Allen can do both. Jackson can do both.
But like even Mahomes can still, I mean, he's faster than Cam Ward, for example. I mean, he can still give you some gains in that way. Yeah, you really just don't want, I mean, frankly, in that way, you don't want, Goff. You don't want Cousins, guys who like if they get pressure, they're not escaping it. They're not running. They're just kind of
falling.
Yeah, they're falling to the ground.
Peyton used to do that a lot. He dropped back.
Yeah.
And like if somebody came close to Peyton, you're like, let's just hit the dirt. Let's just not take this hit.
Yeah.
Which I respected.
Dan Marino.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Not eluding rush.
Not eluding a whole lot of rush there. So we'll see what that means. It was interesting. So, we asked TD about the position groups that he feels good about with the Titans. Secondary, going corner and safety, and then the defensive tackles. That was it. Nothing really on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, that kind of goes to show you where the roster is right now. There are people that will say offensive line. They have addressed offensive line. My take on the offensive line, Joe, is I need to see that Dan Moore is a good left tackle before I believe that Dan Moore is going to be a good left tackle. That's about where I'm at on it. I feel pretty good about Latham on the right. Like you watch J.C. Latham play a lot of right tackle in college, and he did a good job. I didn't think that J.C. Latham was great as a rookie last year on the left side. I didn't think he was an abject disaster either. So like I've got a pretty open mind, and I've got decent confidence that Latham can be a good right tackle. He certainly will be better than what they had at right tackle last year, which should not be the bar. But again, I like Zeitler coming in. Skoronski, I thought, got better as the season went on last year. Now we'll see about center because I still have my doubts as to whether or not Cushenberry is going to be ready to go coming off the Achilles when the season starts. So we'll see on that front. But it's hard. I cannot just say I feel good about the offensive line just because they've addressed it.
Yeah, decent maybe. Maybe I could go decent. Better, sure. How much better, I don't know, but not better enough to say good.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many questions there. And, I say Skoronski's gotten better. He has. Now he's basically starting over again too, right, of that partnership, both to the left and right. Like if Cushenberry can't go, you got somebody else playing center. You've got a new left tackle that you're getting used to on the left side of things. So, like, it's, not that that's the be-all, end-all. Like, some of it in the NFL is just as simple of, can you block your guy when it's time to block your guy? But we've talked about this, how important it is, that relationship of who's to your left, who's to your right, and working in concert there. So we'll see with Dan Moore in the fold what that looks like for Skoronski.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for him to be, like, immediately you look at him in year 3 and say, yeah, I feel pretty good about where he's at. That'd be great.
That would be a big deal. So you just reminded me of a text we got way earlier in the show from Mark from Hendersonville, who gave us his all-time Titans all draft team.
Okay.
So let me go through this real fast because the reason you reminded me of it is because it says Skoronski. Quarterback, Mariota and Vince Young. Again, this is people they drafted since they've been in Tennessee. Mariota and Vince Young. I mean, I guess so, right? I think that's probably right. Mariota, then Vince Young. Better than Locker. They had already drafted McNair.
Yeah.
Running back.
Again, he's pointing out just drafted by, like, the Titans.
By the Titans. Derrick Henry and Chris Johnson, definitely a running back. Jared Cook and Jonnu Smith at tight end. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Derek Mason, of course. Then Corey Davis and Kenny Britt. Woo!
It kind of goes to show you.
But offensive line, okay, Michael Roos, yeah, okay. Benji Olsen, for sure. Jack Conklin, yeah. Eugene Amano, and then he's got Skoronski. Have they been so bad at drafting guards that Skoronski would be on here? I mean, obviously, the kid from Alabama they drafted.
Oh, Warmack?
Yeah,
that didn't go so well.
That one did not go well. But, man, if anybody can think of a better
guards they've drafted.
Yeah. Edges, Curse, obviously, and Derek Morgan. Is Derek Morgan? I think I'd put Harold Landry ahead of Derek Morgan, right?
Morgan,
yeah.
Yes.
Defensive tackle, Hainsworth and Simmons. I think that's a gimme. Keith. Oh, okay. I guess he did defensive end and outside line. Keith Bullock, Harold Landry.
That makes sense.
Inside linebacker, Avery Williamson and Stephen Tulloch.
Okay.
Is David Long Jr. better than Avery Williamson? It was a short. He had a couple years. Shorter, he was pretty freaking good.
But yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah.
Cornerback, McCourty, Adoree, Samari Roll, and Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, huh? Okay.
I mean, great returner.
Is Adoree Jackson on that list?
Is that really? Have they been that bad at drafting cornerbacks? What about
Finnegan?
Yeah, Finnegan was a late round pick, but that
Finnegan
was their draft pick, right?
Above,
He's absolutely in there. And then safety, Byard and Griffin. Yeah, which makes sense. So pretty good. We had a couple corrections for you, Mark.
I mean, what that tells me?
Someone tell me that Skoronski. Yeah, exactly. But there's got to be a guard other than Skoronski. No,
I have to go back
in the entirety of this franchise
that they drafted. But yeah, probably. But yeah, that whole list tells me they need to draft better.
and by the way, to me, the all draft team, if you again, Finnegan, it was good anyway, but he's like a late round pick.
Right.
If you had a 4th round guard who's comparable to Skoronski, then he gets on the team because he's better for value, right?
Yeah,
like that should be part of a team like that. It would be like the value, your value relative to where you were selected.
We talk about obviously quarterback is the most important draft slot that you can have because if you get that right, it just affects so many other things. Like it would be nice for them to at some point here draft another edge rusher that is an absolute monster out there. Like Harold Landry was good. He wasn't great, but he was good. Derek Morgan was a good player. I mean, Javon Curse was if not the primary reason, one of the short list of reasons of why they made the Super Bowl back in 1990.
Yeah, the fact that they went from basically an 8-8 type of team to boom.
Yeah.
You're the best team in the AFC. he was a force multiplier.
That's a high bar. I understand that, but they need like one of those guys at edge that they just haven't had in a long time.
Yeah,
they need that
more than again Landry. You'll take that. You'll take his career. He was good, but you need the guy who scares other teams, who dictates strategy on the other side of the ball.
We got weekend winners coming up next. Take your thoughts on all things Titans as well. 615-737-1025. It's time for the 4th annual 615 Open Charity Golf Tournament. Cromwell Media, along with Fox 17, Outfront Media, and Social Indoor. Proud to announce we'll be back at Hermitage Golf Course coming up on Thursday, May 29th. You can join us if you guest media members, athletes, musicians. We're raising money for Folds of Honor. Donations go to provide life-changing scholarships to families of America's fallen or disabled military and first responders. You can sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
It's time to pick some winners. We hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you. Now
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for weekend winners here on Robby and Rexrode. A standings update in the competition. Rexrode has vaulted himself into first place in the competition. He went 4-2 last week with his lock, as did Keyser. He went 4-2 with no lock. So there's that to keep in mind. Which brings the overall standings. Joe Rexrode, 23-19. Good for 28 points. 5-2 on his locks. Keyser, 22-20 overall. 3-4 on his locks. 25 points. And I have 22-20, 4-3 overall, 26 points. So Rexrode in first. I am in second. Keyser 1 point behind me in third is where the standings are now in the competition.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're 22-20 and 4-3?
That's correct.
So you have 26.
Correct.
Gotcha.
There you go.
So does Nick does he grandfather these to, or
he does.
Or
Ian takes over.
Ian inherits Nick's spot.
Hey,
in the
it's a close
standings.
competition.
We're all kind of like right there. So
Yeah.
it's good.
No, that's fine.
Good time.
Good luck, Ian.
Yeah. We
Good
begin
job, Nick.
with the Predators, who are red hot, who, by the way, have wrapped up the 30th spot in the league. It's where they're going to be. So the Predators winning 2 in a row. They're taking on the Golden Knights tomorrow in Vegas. The return of Jonathan Marchessault back to Vegas for the first time since he signed in Nashville. Rexrode, you're up first. Who you got between the Preds and the Golden Knights?
I will go with the team playing the Preds, the Golden Knights.
The Golden
Pretty
Knights.
safe bet this year.
The selection there. Keyser, the Predators and the Golden Knights. Who you got tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the Preds ride off of that shootout win and get the job done in Jonathan Marchessault's return to Vegas. Because he needs it very much so. Very Trotz, thanks.
You know what? The Golden Knights are going to win their division. It's all but wrapped up. They haven't wrapped it up yet, but they're going to. I think the Preds get a nice emotional win in the Fortress tomorrow. Marchessault plays his butt off, and the Preds go out there and win against the Vegas Golden Knights. There's some motivation there, Joe.
Good stuff, WHMR.
You don't seem to agree. It's okay.
I'm WHTR.
Tennessee in a weekend series with Ole Miss coming up this weekend in Oxford. Some hostile territory for the Vols. Keyser, who wins the series, the Vols or Ole Miss?
I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they win 2 out of 3 in this one. I was listening to a show with Tony Vitale talking about those younger players, and they're battling some stuff right now. But I think they get the job done this weekend against Ole Miss.
Vols lock. The disappointing week last weekend for them. You had all the rain, and they had to play doubleheader on Saturday and all that stuff. And it did not go well against A&M last weekend. Give me the Vols locking down against Ole Miss. Joe Rexrode, who wins the series, Tennessee or Ole Miss?
Yep. Mute me, but bring me back, and I'll be a homer just like you guys. WHMR across the board.
There we go. Vanderbilt taking on Oklahoma in Norman this weekend as well. I'll start on this one. Give me Vanderbilt. I mean, I'm going full homer the whole way here.
Yeah.
Preds, Vols, and Vanderbilt this weekend. Joe Rexrode, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. Who we got?
Same thing. And I'll also take Vandy to win its spring game tomorrow.
Yes.
1 o'clock, First Bank Stadium.
Big matchup in the spring game as well. Keyser, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. Who we got?
Clean sweep across the board, going with the
Wow,
Commodores. That's kind of scary.
I'm the only person that saved us from being absolute abject homers across the board in all three.
It's because you're disrespect to the Nashville Predators.
Exactly.
All right, let's head to the individual portion of the program. Keyser, your first individual selection.
Yeah, a little tip off here from the boys sitting in the studio with me this morning. I'm going to go with the Houston Rockets to cover plus 10.5 against the Lakers and make it my lock. Because a few players are out, so we'll see if Houston's surefire scores end up covering that score, but I feel confident with that.
Rockets plus 10.5 locking down against the Lakers. Joe Rexrode, your first individual selection.
All right. Western Michigan double overtime thriller in the Frozen Four.
Yes.
Last night over Denver. It's Western Michigan, Boston U, 6:30 tomorrow night, ESPN2. Give me the Broncos to win the first natty in school history. Make it my lock.
Wow. Locking down. Little college hockey there for you. Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning -1.5 against the Detroit Red Wings. I really like the Lightning. I really like two of those teams in that division. And I've refused to believe in Toronto until I actually see them do it in the playoffs. But it's turning out to be a pretty good division. But I'll go the Lightning -1.5 against Rexrode's former beloved Red Wings. Rexrode, your second individual selection.
They're dead to me. Yeah, so let's go NBA out. I shouldn't play. I'm playing the heartstrings too much this week, but you know what? Actually, I'm going to flip it around. Warriors, who completely blew it the other night against the freaking Spurs, and Harrison Barnes, of course, hits the three to beat them. A guy who never hit a three his entire time with the Warriors.
Jeez.
Warriors Trailblazers. They have to win tonight. They will win tonight, but the spread is -14.5. I actually think the Blazers will give them a little bit of a scare. So give me the Blazers and the 14.5.
Going Blazers +14.5 against the Warriors. I will go with the Pelicans +14 against my beloved Miami Heat. The Heat are trash. I don't know what to tell you. They're trash. They'll win the game because the Pelicans are terrible, but I'll go +14 for the Pelicans to cover the spread. Keezer, your second individual selection.
Yeah, going over to the NHL, some teams that are making the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Give me the Ottawa Senators -1.5 over the Montreal Canadiens.
Going with Ottawa -1.5 against Montreal. Keezer, go ahead and fire us up with your final individual selection.
Yep, lots of hate for Tropicana, so might as well keep it relevant this morning. I'm going to give me the Atlanta Braves +1.5 to cover against Tampa Bay. And I believe we have an event this weekend where you get to go have a watch party with the Braves. So go over to the, the FanDuel Lounge. BetMGM Lounge.
I believe that's later next week.
Have they won a game yet?
Yeah, it is next week.
Have they won a game yet?
They won last week. That was one of the picks that I made last week.
Oh, okay.
And they won like 10-0.
There you go.
Nice.
Going with the Braves against the Tampa Bay Rays. When does this game take place? They're playing the Rays
today,
and then again next week?
I guess so.
How about that? A lot of action against the Rays coming up. We'll see what happens. So Rexrode, your final individual selection.
So Grizzlies Nuggets, huge game for both in the playoff race. It's also the matchup of teams that just fired their coaches.
Interesting.
In Denver, and the Grizzlies have not necessarily responded all that well. The Nuggets so far, they got a huge win at Sacramento. The Nuggets are -7.5. I'm going to go with the Nuggets to win by more than that, which would mean I'm taking the Nuggets to cover the point spread on the game, on the sports game. Thank you.
That's good. Nuggets -7.5 against the Memphis Grizzlies. Apparently that's what people do in the NBA now, is just fire their coaches of playoff teams right before the playoffs.
Yeah, it's really makes sense.
Give me the Cincinnati Reds -1.5 against the Pirates. That may be my strategy for a while. I may find who's playing the Pirates and just go against them.
Even when Skeens is pitching?
Oh, I made sure Skeens is not throwing tonight. So, yeah, if Skeens ain't throwing, I'm taking the team that's playing the Pirates. That's going to be my strategy, at least for a while, and we'll see how that plays out.
Kind of makes sense.
So in Cincinnati, -1.5 against the Pirates. And look, I mean, it's not like the Cincinnati Reds or God's gift to baseball either. But it's hard to really drum up a more dysfunctional, bad organization than what the Pirates have been for basically my entire life.
Just hopeless. And I
may be the only person watching this game tonight. They're keeping an eye on it. The Pirates and the Reds, who are both 5-8.
They're openly hopeless. I feel so bad for their fans. And, someone all-time hot take by Stilla. Yeah, I'll take Tropicana over Fenway. Yeah, I kind of like that Trop. But someone pointed out to us on the text line, the PNC, we've both been there for games, amazing place. And it deserves a competitive team and ownership. That's bad ownership. The Pittsburgh Pirates.
One of the best stadium/scenes in all of baseball.
It's great.
And the poor fans have to watch that crap team every year. It's just a tough one out there.
Still is I like the old Metrodome. Yeah. That's old Kirby Puckett out there. Chuck Knobloch can't throw to first, but I love it.
Bridgestone's okay, but that Municipal Auditorium over there is where I'd really like to see the Predators play.
How about I saw Alex Doherty was tweeting out all the terrible sight lines from Utah last night.
They're gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, might have to a little
bit. This entire section, you can't see the ice. How about that?
He's like, he couldn't even see the Preds bench from the media seating. What?
615-737-1025, our phone number. Our final segment with Nicholas Keezer coming up next. By the way, Nate asking if we don't have we didn't have a Masters pick on there. I guess we could take an individual golfer if we wanted to, a bonus pick. But
Could have. Too late.
it's too late now.
You can tell us your pick, Nate.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar, and our final segment with Nick Keyser, who has done an outstanding job over the last couple of years of producing this here program. Nicholas, it is your last day, so I turn the floor over to you to say your goodbyes, say what you need to say here on the program.
Yeah.
You rip wherever you need to, man. This is your chance.
I know.
Rip away.
Look, I mean, I see people like putting me on my deathbed in the text line all morning long, but no, look, guys, it's been a really fun time to be with the station overall. I mean, looking back on all the advice I got this morning, I'll have to go back and read more of them. Yeah, I mean, like that was great stuff, right? So yeah, there's a lot that I've sat with over the last few weeks and everything that's kind of unfolded for me, and it all happened pretty quickly, right? But I look back on my time here, grateful for everything that Bud's put me up to here, and Sean and Chase, and they've had great ideas and put me in great spots. So I really appreciate you guys for that as I hit the microphone. Like Joe
pulling a Rex
does.
Rode over there.
Wow.
Good gracious.
Well, you didn't mute yourself.
At least I didn't mute myself. Yeah. But no, I've been super grateful for that, to get to cover the team. Robby, you said it well earlier. I've been able to cover something that I love. It's been my passion for many, many, many years. And ever since I was a little boy playing hockey, I always knew I'd want to go do something with that one day. And I have. And it's been super fun. And for me to be here at the station, listening to Pete Weber growing up, listening to Jay Moore, and sitting with them currently now has been such a pleasure. And
right next to him in the press box.
Right next to him. And the seating chart's going to be the same for the next week. So that'll be nice to sit with them and kind of enjoy those last few games. But yeah, just a major shout out to this station and everyone that's taught me. Ian taught me a lot of, the Preds games and how to run shows, and David James with the Nashville Sounds broadcasts, and Elijah Campbell with the live shows as well. There's so many people that come to mind for me personally that I have to thank, but I won't get to everybody, but all the part-timers as well. You guys grind and you do your thing. And I've been very pleased with the work that's been done here over the last few years, and just who we've added as well. And the guys on the Saturday show have done a good job as well. Force Company's done well. When Junie and I were doing the show for a little bit, that was a lot of fun, and hanging out with Michelle O'Perry. She was a great joy to have around here too. Just heard from her the other day as well. So, but yeah, boys, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me as your producer. It was been fun to be over here after listening to you guys in the morning on my drive in to here. But more importantly, just learning from you guys and reading your stuff. Vingan gave me some words on Preds Insiders, and it sat with me. It's I may poke at you for how many years I read you before I joined the fold, but it's been a true treat to be alongside you guys and grow in my own career as well. And it's only going to grow from here. So, but that's really all I got to say. Thank you to my parents that have devoted their time and energy to living my dream out in sports as well. They motivated me to be here today. I didn't go anywhere with my hockey career necessarily, but they always pushed me to be at my very best. And
it's not over yet.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Can we get you on like the third line with the Mighty Drunks? I mean, is this not possible?
You're playing summer hockey right now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just zooming up the ice. So,
well, we're very proud of you. You have done an outstanding job as our producer. I'm very excited to see where your career goes. I have all the confidence in the world in you. I have all the confidence in the world that you're going to do great things with whatever you set your mind to. And I said it earlier. I mean, you have come across something that's a rare thing to find, and that is a passion about what you do. So that's going to serve you well. You do an outstanding job covering the Predators. That's not going to change. I'm looking forward to watching you do that as you continue to move along here. But you've done a great job here. We love you. We're very proud of you, and we wish you all the best moving forward here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Because as we know, you have to deal with some crap dealing with this show. One side a little more than the other. I want to read a text here, though.
Oh, boy.
Should I read it in his mom's voice, or no? I won't do that. I just have to. This is from your mom.
As long as no cousins are involved, I'm cool with whatever you do over there.
Please.
I need to read a love note from my cousin.
Spare Brennan of any details.
Okay. Bruno, he's in there like, what is it? Why is this my dad? Okay. So this is from your mom. She says, just have to say, I'll miss hearing your voice every morning on my way to work. I'm so excited for what's ahead. I'm very proud of your work, your integrity, and your compassion. I could go on and on about how proud I am. Congratulations for
Yes.
the future. That's from Mom.
It's very nice.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Very, very,
Very
nice.
nice.
Yes.
No, we appreciate you, man. You've done great work. Just echo everything Robby said. You know, we're excited for the future for you, and yeah, thanks for everything. Because yes, so a lot of troubleshooting goes into this, and a lot of support, and we could not do it for people. You know, people listen to us, but they don't really get a sense for what you guys, the producers, do necessarily. Now, like Ian obviously has to deal with like hot take diarrhea on a daily basis. So I mean, like, there's different messes that people have to clean up, but seriously, like, you are the foundation of what we do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and sometimes I have no idea what you're going to rant about, so I just have to make
you're not alone.
a random
Many times
conglomeration of everything that you say. So I hope today was a good example of that. Just don't give anyone any more pocket mints, man.
Yeah, I know.
Please
I'm
don't.
out. I'm reformed on the pocket mints. While with time left, do we need sports takes? Like, you know, like when Brennan's internship was done, we let him have some sports. Do you have some sports? Do you have, like, what's your hottest take you want to leave us with, man?
I really don't have anything crazy. I don't have anything prepared.
It doesn't have to be a hot take, even if it's like a cool take.
When will the Predators win the Stanley Cup?
There you
Give me
go.
a year.
How about that?
Give me a year.
Oh gosh. I'll give you an approximate, maybe with the core they have now, with the core they're trying to bring up. I would say they probably win a cup maybe 7 or 8 years from now.
7 or 8 years.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just my feel. I also feel like we'll see.
Was Saros going to win the Vezina that year? They'll be in the last year of his deal.
Yeah, really.
Look at this ancient guy out here. Maybe a new goalie.
Look at this little old guy.
Yeah. I think Matthew
Is
Wood.
that Rexrode's cousin in the stands?
The wedding veil on?
Jeez. Another face-off.
We just nuked that last part of the
Oh,
segment there.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah. we totally did.
Sending you out with class, my friend.
That's all right. I like it.
Well, Kaiser, we love you. Appreciate everything you've done for the program, and we'll see you around, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
We're
guys
getting
for having
pizza
me.
soon, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we have to.
We have to do that. That's going to do it for us today here on the program. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend here. Enjoy the Masters out there, which is a great golf tournament, despite what Stilly may say. We'll be back 6 a.m. Monday morning. Jason Big Joe's coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3, The Game.